Elon Musk, the first entrepreneur to ever discover the idea of a space rocket that can fly with the aid of 33 engines, is now skeptical about the success of the Starship in space. That is quite normal since it will be the first time any rocket can fly successfully on 33 engines throughout all records in history. But NASA and the Naval Research Lab seem to break this claim, as they have set a world record for the highest number of rocket engines ever launched on a single flight, using a total of 44 engines. That was way back on September 16, 2015, when a Black Brant rocket carried an experiment to study dusty plasmas, an electrically charged mixture of gas and bits of dust that can occur naturally in the mesosphere, which is a region of the atmosphere about 30 to 50 miles or 50 to 80 kilometers above the Earth's surface. So, for this journey, 37 rocket engines were used to create an exhaust cloud for the experiment. 3 engines were used to launch the rocket, and the remaining 4 were used as spin motors to control its position. But this rocket has its downside, and that was its reusability. That's where SpaceX becomes the champion in the league. Why Elon Musk is not sure about the success of the ship at first launch, and will this fear be channeled into developing the ship to withstand whatever challenges it faces during its first flight? Let's find out all this in today's video. It's so strange that the doctor of the Starship himself is frightened about it exploding during launch, but who won't get scared of seeing a huge amount of investment capital get burnt? Remember that SpaceX achieves $2 million per metric ton construction costs for the Starship, and the Starship's upper stage total mass is about 120 metric tons empty. So, that's $240 million. The first stage Starship, which is the booster, is about double the weight of the upper stage, and it cost $510 million to develop from scratch. So, the 2-stage rockets as a whole cost about $750 million per copy. Who wouldn't be heartbroken to watch this whopping sum of money burn down to ashes? Much fear was felt in Elon's words when he said, "There's a lot that could go wrong." A really tremendous amount, and I really like to emphasize that the odds of success are not super high. I don't want to jinx it, I'm tempted to say, because I feel super optimistic, but I feel as though that optimism has no basis in fact. I feel like we've got a 2/3 chance of success, but in reality, we only have a 50 to 50 chance. We've been waiting for nearly 2 years to see Elon Musk's big rocket blast off again, and now the SpaceX founder is starting to narrow the targeted time frame for Starship's first orbital flight. He is afraid of losing millions to a rocket explosion, so he has resorted to slowing things down. But again, Elon Musk made a controversial tweet on Twitter, saying that the Starship will feel the orbit's environment by April. The tweet reads, "Assuming that takes a few weeks, the first launch attempt will be near the end of the 3rd week of April." The ellipsis seems to be a reference to one of Musk's favorite numbers and memes, which is 420, and this number is always connected to marijuana. Hence, April 20th is maybe the 3rd week of April that Musk is referring to. Musk would love to launch his BFR on April 20th if we are following his favorite number, but it will depend on how ready the SpaceX team is, the weather at Starbase in Texas, and yes, the FAA, the biggest SpaceX's nightmare. It's also important to remember that Musk had to change his goal for the orbital flight more than twice, but things do seem to be coming to a close. However, in the end, we'll have to wait for the FAA to tell us how soon the Starship can take off for orbit. When it finally happens, Super Heavy will push Starship into orbit, and after that, the Chopstick's arms will catch it in midair as it descends. Starship, on the other hand, will make a quick trip into space and land off the coast of Hawaii. If things go wrong, it may be a shame for SpaceX, because many will think of it in the sense that after SpaceX may have spent more than a decade developing the Starship, nothing good has come out of it, just failure, and at some point, SpaceX may be losing investors, and you know what that means, they'll be losing millions of dollars. That is why Musk is seriously scared that something may happen to the ship during launch and it may explode. He may not be able to stomach the trauma that will come in the aftermath. However, if the launch is successful, the world will celebrate Musk and SpaceX for a job well done, and developing a space vehicle with a 33 Raptor engine that can launch cargo and at least 100 humans into orbit for a remarkable tourism experience. On the other hand, if the Starship explodes during the first launch, it may be another heads up for SpaceX and Elon Musk. It may be a challenge to warm SpaceX's buttocks to do better, since failure should always be expected at the beginning of any new adventure. During the Starship static fire test, the booster briefly roared to life for the first time, and the uproar puts the behemoth Moon and Mars vehicle closer to their first orbital flight in the coming months. So, 31 of the Super Heavy's 33 Raptor rocket engines fired for roughly 10 seconds at SpaceX's facilities in Boca Chica, Texas. That is quite a short time, and ultimately shows that SpaceX engineers are already working towards what President Gwen Shotwell already stressed at the FAA conference. She said, "Keep in mind, this first one is really a test flight," Shotwell said. "The real goal is to not blow up the launch pad. That is success." A statement like this shows that Shotwell and Elon Musk will fight tooth and nail to make sure the Starship doesn't blow up, but rather it should end in success. The Falcon Heavy has really glorified the company with its consistent success. When was the last time you heard about a Falcon Heavy launch recently? Well, there's another one to wind up, and its motivation will surely take the Starship to the promised land, Mars. The Falcon Heavy will be a big deal in space, just like the Starship. Other rockets, like the Falcon 9, that go deep into space at least 50 times a year don't get as much attention as the Falcon Heavy. One reason is that the Falcon Heavy is a force to be reckoned with in the space and rocket industries. The style and name of the company behind it tell you everything you need to know. The Falcon Heavy was made by Elon Musk's SpaceX, which he is very proud to lead, and next is the Starship to do even better. Though SpaceX is trying hard to prepare the ship to launch successfully this year, other launches will surely follow suit. Let's not miss talking about some of the most exciting space missions we should watch out for in 2023, along with the Starship. After the launch of the James Webb Space Telescope in late 2021 and Artemis I in 2022, in the next 12 months, we should be all set to see our moon, the moons of Jupiter and Venus, bizarre asteroids, and some landmark test flights and exciting one-off missions. One of the most interesting ones is Blue Origin's orbital test flight of the New Glenn rocket, which may come during the first quarter of 2023. Blue Origin won't want to miss out this year. They also want to join the launch game amidst the odds on the way. It will be better if Bezos' own company faces its fear and wins than continues to shy away. An orbital-class reusable rocket that will give Blue Origin the same reach as SpaceX if it survives to orbit. New Glenn could get an orbital flight test in 2023. However, it could very easily be delayed until 2024. If successful, it will give the green light to the core of Amazon's Project Kuiper plan to launch 3000+ satellites before the end of 2023. Another is the Rocket Lab's Venus Lifefinder probe, coming up in May 2023. It will be the first private mission to Earth's hotter sister planet, and it will play a most interesting role for the world this year. A daring plan to insert a probe in the atmosphere of Venus to search for aliens or any living beings and signs of life in the planet's cloud layer, Venus Lifefinder, will be launched on Rocket Lab's Electron rocket from New Zealand for arrival in October 2023. Do you think a SpaceX Starship will be able to see the orbit's environment this year? In the meantime, take a look into how SpaceX brutally disobeyed the FAA and is ready to launch Starship. Just click on the video to know more.